Hi, I'm Brother Ryan. I just want to welcome you to the Dubuque Christian Kicks and just take a couple of minutes of your time just to let you know what this video is about. First of all, this video is meant and created for you guys so that you can see exactly how to do the different techniques that you're required to do for the belt levels. We'll take it slow, go at different angles so you can see the different parts of the hands or the feet or whatever part of the body we're using for a self-defense technique or kick or whatever we're doing at the time. Most importantly, I wanted to let you know that as you're going through the video, you need to use your study guide and make notes according to how you see something. I might see something totally different than what you do for different techniques, call it something different, and that's fine, but this is your tool to use to write notes as you go to the different belt levels, so make sure you use this. It's also important to understand that within this study guide, you have your scriptures, and we all know that this academy is based on this. All right, in the Bible, the Word of God, and we want you to make sure that you study your scriptures. If you're a beginning student and you start, typically it takes about 5 years for a student to go from white belt to black belt, and if you learn one scripture per month as required, then you should know 60 scriptures when we finish. Okay, so as you train, have fun. If you have questions, come to your instructor, myself, or one of my assistants, and then we'll go from there, okay? God bless you, and let's start training.
Yellow belt requirements. Attention stance.
Attention stance, kind of like the military. You know, it's in the traditional courses and traditional martial arts classes were very stringent and very traditional. In our academy, we understand that not everything is traditional. We do relaxed and traditional stances. So in this instance, for your yellow belt test, the attention stance is based on the midline. Okay, so we use the squares out center. Your heels are together. Your feet at 45 degrees open, shoulders back, chest out, hands to your side, meaning when you put your hands to the side, just make them straight, don't have to be curled, but straight down to your side, looking straight ahead.
Ready stance.
So when we go from the tension stance to the ready stance, this is what I ask my students to do. Don't just go like this, but I want you to come from the tension stance. And the reason they call it is ready because you want to be ready. So as we go to the ready stance, one foot will move. You can move your right or your left foot. But when you move either foot, your hands will come up in front of you, and then you'll slide one foot out and put straight down. This is the ready stance. Your feet are a little bit more than shoulder width apart. Head's looking straight ahead. Hands are like a punching stance. All right, your thumbs underneath and straight in front, one side of your midline on each side. Same as the tension stance, except you're ready now.
Fighting stance.
From the fighting stance, we'll start from the middle of our attention stance, typically, most of the times, or from the ready stance. When you go back, now we're going to talk about stances and angles. When we talk about stances and angles, most of self-defense and most of your requirements are based on 45-degree angles. So if I take this one stance right here, or this one piece of X, and you could do this at home, get you 2 pieces of tape, or 2 belts, or whatever you could use to make a box, square, and go to the corners. That's your 45-degree angles. No matter how you're standing and looking at it, whether I'm in front or whether I'm going to the side, I'm moving at a 45-degree angle, okay? So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stand in the middle of one of these squares, okay? And when I move my foot back, it's going to go not necessarily towards the middle, but if you keep your feet here and your toes are pointing forward, that means your heels are pointing straight back, and you push straight back on a 45-degree angle. At a 45-degree angle. If you do it wrong, the wrong way to do it would be to step back like this. Now you're not in a 45-degree angle. Okay, so whenever you step, whether you step forward or whether you step backwards, same thing with the other foot in front, we call that an extro. So basically you can put your hands in your hips, step forward, step backward, step backwards. Whatever way you're going in a 45-degree angle, okay? Your fighting stance, when you get into a traditional fighting stance, which is a deep fighting stance, one leg will be further out. See how I'm on a 45-degree angle? Midline's in the middle. Your toes are pointing forward, okay? If I look down at my bottom, my toes, I should not be able to see my toes. If I can see my toes, my knees aren't bent far enough, okay? So you'll feel it in your upper legs and your back legs, okay? Body is square, so if I put my hands to the side, bring them up. Whatever knees in the front, that hand slightly higher, back leg is locked, Hands up, looking straight forward because we know that's where our attacker is. The attacker will always be in front of you. If he's not, you put him in front of you, okay? At the end of the technique, okay? So this is a traditional fighting stance. Now we all understand that we're not going to walk on the street like that, right? So a relaxed fighting stance could be anything from this to this, okay? In self-defense, we teach our ladies at the ladies seminars that if I'm standing on the street and I feel threatened, that if I just put my foot back just a little bit and say, hey, I'm sorry, or I don't want any trouble, this is non-intimidating. This is non-intimidating, but yet my hands are ready to war, my legs are in a stance where I'm at a good balance, all right, I'm ready to strike or defend myself.
Horse stance.
Horse stance is basically a traditional stance. It has nothing to do with the street, okay? However, this is what we use to develop power in our legs, agility, balance, and technique for our hand strikes, okay? The horse stance starts from the center. One foot goes out to the side, so we'll just go ahead and put both out for now. So you can see a lot more than shoulder width apart. Your legs will be bent. One hand's out in front. One hand's in what we call the chamber. The chamber's in the side. So if you had a weapon and you're getting ready to shoot that weapon, then that cock, that chamber in the back is what makes the power come. So everything comes from the chamber, which we'll talk about a little bit later, okay? One hand's in the middle in the midline. The midline's right center of the body. Punching, not all the way extended, but just slightly bent so that you don't hyperextend your arm when you do your punches or whatever strikes you're going to do. Your back is straight, legs are bent, toes slightly forward, and in the chamber, okay?
Strikes and blocks.
When we do most of our strikes and blocks for testing purposes, we'll start them from the horse stance. Now after we do this for a while, we'll get to relaxed horse stance since we're talking about different strikes, okay?
Reverse punch.
So I'm going to go to a relaxed horse stance, which is not quite as wide, slightly bent knees, hands on the front. Reverse punch basically means that you're just reversing hands, changing hands. So if my hand's in here in the middle, I'm just going to reverse it and use this hand now to come in the front. So when I strike, that hand kind of torque, and you can see my hand doesn't just go like this, but it comes from here and it starts to turn. And I'm striking with the front part of my hand. If you look at it from the side, same thing. Your chamber, changing your hands, and going straight to the middle of the body when your attacker's in front of you, okay? So it's just kind of a little bit quicker, straighten out. The problem that students have when they first start, if they feel that they have to use all of their body weight as power, okay? All we're doing is developing muscle memory, right? And we're trying to develop speed and technique. So do not let your body turn into it, okay? Because when you do that, you're going to lose your balance. So keep your body square, straight, and when you punch, leave this straight, just like that, just like that. Don't do this, because that's where you're going to lose, okay? Because you see it from the side, and it's the first thing students do wrong is they'll try to punch into somebody, okay? So just remember, this is just a technique that we're learning, and you're just switching hands.
Back fist.
Back fist is typically from what we call a side stance. A side stance. A side stance is where your attacker sees your side. You think about it like that, okay? So if I'm in a ready stance, right? And I turn sideways in a ready stance, and now I'll look towards you, and I bring my hands up. I'm in the side stance, okay? A back fist comes from the side stance to where this hand comes from here, chamber, and pushes straight out. So you're striking your opponent that's in front of you from here. Do not leave your hand out, but once you strike, bring your hand back like it's kind of like a rubber band, coming straight back, or a whip action, okay? If you think of your hand as a brick on the end of your hand, and you throw that brick and there's a rubber band that brings it back, that's what I want you to do, okay?
Ridge hand.
The most important thing about a ridge hand, as a yellow belt, and anybody, is to remember that when you strike something, you don't want to strike it like this, because you're going to hit your thumb and jam your thumb and you could possibly break your thumb. So you tuck the thumb in, just like that. Tuck your thumb in so that this part of your hand is striking. So that this part of your hand is striking. So same thing as a reverse punch. I'm torquing my strike in, comes in, just like that. Like that, like that, okay?
Knife hand.
Knife hand is kind of like, we're going to talk about blocks in a little while here, kind of like an inside block except you're coming from a different angle. Okay, so a knife hand would come again like an inside block, which we'll talk about later, and when you strike, come from here, and you're kind of hitting this inside of a person's shoulder blade or to the neck, so you're coming at a 45-degree angle, striking in, cover up, strike in, cover up, strike in. Again, knife edge of the hand, that's why they call it a knife hand, okay? And not straight down, like you see some people do sometimes, but more of an angle.
Blocks.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about blocks, okay? And I'm going to use my son, this is Nathan. Mr. Nathan is actually getting ready to make his red belt, actually. And I'm going to use him as the striker and show you how we block, where we block, and the different ways of blocking. It's a traditional block and an open hand. My twin brother Terry in the open palm system in Virginia uses a lot of open hand techniques. They believe that a lot of energy could be expanded. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye, and my belief's a little bit different because of my religious beliefs, but I do believe, medically speaking, that your body does have energy in it, and that's something we'll talk about in later belts. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Mr. Nathan to get in the horse stance, a relaxed horse stance, and all he's going to do right now, he's going to go to a reverse punch. So we'll talk about an inside and outside block first, and then we'll do an open hand strike for the up and down block. When we talk about inside blocks, when a person's throwing, I'm going to go chest level so you can see this. When he's throwing this strike, okay, and he comes from one side, I'm thinking about coming from here, right? Now this is traditional way, okay? And coming across the body to move his hand. If he throws this hand right here, and I come from here, my hand comes inside. Now traditionally, that would be a hard block to put my bone against his bone, hit his forearm. So when I block, it pushes his hand straight across. In reality, if he was to step forward and throw that same punch, okay, and he steps towards me, and I came from here and I blocked, and then his body would start turning that way, okay? However, on the street, the same thing, a person comes at us and does the same thing. If I'm stepping back, we want to change it, and instead of blocking, now we're just going to open our hand and either block this way, or we have a little bit further reach, he does it, I could block and also grab now. And we can now self-defense. So instead of just blocking something, I could block it, stop his hand, and come across and do locks, which we're talking self-defense, okay? So basically we're talking about two different types of blocks. Traditional and open or relaxed. When we do relax, we'll turn our body a little bit and just get used to the movement and moving a person's body out of the way, okay? That's the inside block. The outside block is from the same thing, from relaxed horse stance. And this is not really hard, but you just have to, muscle memory is what's going to make you advance. Okay? You cannot just do these techniques 1 or 2 times and think that you have it. Okay? You have to take your time, go at home, look in the mirror, look at yourself, and watch what we're doing. So, an outside block comes from here. One hand's down, one hand's up. One's towards the shoulder, one's towards my leg. Always remember that on the outside block, the hand that's on the bottom is the one that's going to block. So if the hand starts over there, then it means I need to bring that hand back the other way. So if I come from here, my hand's replacing that, the other hand's going to the chamber. Chamber, block. Then as soon as I do the block, that hand comes to the shoulder. Other hand goes down, same as we did before. Now we're going the opposite way. Block. Whenever your hand finishes blocking, comes back up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's traditional, okay? Relax would be just a little bit different. Instead of doing all of this, now we're just going to move our body to the side a little bit and push. Or you could push it this way. That's an inside block. Inside, outside. Outside, inside. High block and low block. The person's coming towards me. He's going to come in with his left hand in a high strike above my head, like he's going to hit me on top of the head, okay? So he steps towards me. We want to make sure, now, two ways to block. I could block it straight on, which is the bad way. So I come like this and try to block, and I go like this, and he puts pressure down, I'm going to get hit in the head, okay? So what we want to do is we want to block at an angle, so that our arm, when it goes up, is at a 45-degree angle, so that his power slides off my hand instead. See, now instead of coming straight down, went over my head, and as he struck me, he came on top, and it slides. Even if it doesn't slide, he puts pressure. At least I'm at an angle now, even if he presses down, where I can start pushing with him. Okay? And then the low block is if a person threw a kick at me, he's going to throw with his right leg. If I step back, he can come straight out, block it down, or open hand would be just to push it out of the way. Okay, good sir? So same thing, if I'm from here, or even in the horse stance, low block, X, and then the hand that's in the front will block. X, down. Opposite X, X, down. X, down. Now we all know if I just do that, I'm not protecting anything there, so I'd have to bend my knees a little bit and go down, okay?
Kicks.
Let's talk about kicks. I'm going to get my son, Mr. Nathan, to get one of the pads, the small pad, and we're going to talk about kicks. All right? Actually, it's right here. First kick we're going to talk about is the front snap kick. Front snap kick, okay? Easiest kick in the world to learn, okay? This is one of your first kicks you'll learn as a new martial artist, a new self-defense person, all right? And that's because it's meant for one area, basically, and that's the groin, okay? When we teach people kicking, this is something you need to understand and you need to remember, because I might ask you this during your test, okay? When I tell a person to throw a low kick, or a middle kick, or a high kick, I'm asking you to throw that. Not my son's obviously taller than me, so his middle kick would be different than my middle kick. Because when we say that, we're basing it on our height. So if I say throw a middle kick, I'm asking you to throw your waist level. Your waist level. I'm asking you to throw a low kick, I'm asking you to throw it your knee level. And if I'm asking you to throw a high kick, I'm asking you to throw as high as you can, basically, or at least head or chest. Head or chest level. Now we also understand that we have students that come into our academy that are physically not able to do certain things. I have students right now that are in their 60s, students that are on their 4 or 5 years old. Okay, I don't expect a 4 or 5-year-old to do the same thing I could do, neither do I expect a 60-year-old to do the same thing I do, okay, or Mr. Nathan can do. All right, so we adjust those standards based on your physical abilities, male or female, and your own physical abilities, okay? With that being said, when we first learned the front snap kick, again, traditionally, we may sit here in class and do some nice traditional fighting stances, but a lot of times we'll start from a relaxed fighting stance, just like this. The front snap kicks and most of your kicks, except for one, all of your kicks except for one are based on 4 parts. Chamber, execution, chamber, and retreat. Chamber, execution, chamber, and retreat. I'm going to say that one more time. Chamber, execution, chamber, and retreat. You might want to write that down, because that will be a question that you'll have on your test. Okay? It's important to understand not only how to do a kick, but why you do certain things certain ways. Okay? So remember that. Basically what we're talking about here, so he's going to bring it down to my groin level. Okay? And a front snap kick comes from relaxed fighting stance. The chamber means that when you bring your knee up, that knee is aiming at whatever target you're trying to hit. So if my knee's right here, when I extend my leg, that means I'm going to be in line with my target. If I bring my knee right here and I extend it, then I'm going to miss it. So just like a weapon, your front sight is what you aim with. Okay? My front sight is my knee. My front sight is my knee when I strike, okay? All right, so the front snap kick, again, we want to make sure that when we hit the front snap kick, we're aiming with the front of our foot. This is your front sight. When you aim at anything, this is where, whatever you're doing, roundhouses, whatever you're doing, that's going to determine where your strike goes, okay? In this case, we're going to be a chamber, execution, chamber, retreat. Chamber, execution, chamber, retreat. Front thrust kick is more of a thrust. Instead of just snapping underneath, now we could actually go towards an attacker and kick towards the attacker, okay? A front thrust kick, you're going to use the ball of your foot. So that means your toes have to be curled back and you're going towards the opponent. So if you come, again, chamber, execution, chamber, retreat. Going towards him, strike, and back. Okay? Roundhouse, again, looking at that bit line. Remember, everything's, we talked about this earlier, based on 45-degree angles. So that means if I'm kicking towards him and his pad, on the other side, his pad is sitting right here, this is my attacker's stomach. Okay? So when I come towards it, I want to move this towards you. Okay? So if I'm coming from here and I aim, I want to make sure that my knee is in line with that pad. My knee is in line with the pad. So I'll come from here, chamber, execution, chamber, retreat. Once again, moving it and back. Relaxed fighting stance, right? Come from here, chamber, execution, chamber, retreat. Okay? Okay, outside crescent. We talked earlier about chamber kicks. The outside crescent is the only kick that you do not chamber. Outside crescent is a momentum kick, meaning, put it in the other hand please, meaning that you do not have to chamber it, but you're going to take your leg and make it straight leg, make it go all the way outside and then come back. This is the one kick that eventually we expect, whatever your limits are, to be max limits on that. So you're going to try to get as much height as you possibly can on this kick, okay? So when you come from here, it'd be my head level in my case, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that you have to kick head level. Let me say this, as a new student, as a person that may be seeing this video, you might be watching this video with a friend that happens to be one of my students or instructors, and you're saying, why? Well, you know, I would love to join a karate class, but I could never kick that high. Well, don't kick that high. Kick them low. I could never use my hands. So don't use your hands, use your feet. You have to adjust with your weapons that you have, that God gave you, to use in whatever way you could use them, okay? We don't all fight the same way. We don't all defend the same way. We all have different ways of doing things, okay? And that's great. That's how we learn different things, okay? So anyway, if you do, outside crescent will come from the inside to the outside and back outside because you're using the outside of your foot. So it comes from here, straight leg, and it comes back. Once again, from here, outside crescent, other side. Same thing. From fighting stance. From here, outside, and then back around.
Inside crescent.
Inside crescent is the only technique that you do not land in the same fighting position. And you notice that we did most of these techniques. We would throw the kick, and then bring the foot back in the same fighting stance. Roundhouse, kick, back, same fighting stance. Outside crescent, kick, back, same fighting stance. The inside crescent, although you may not land in the same fighting stance, you're landing in the same type of fighting stance. Meaning, if I come from here, and that's my opponent's head, right here, if I hit him in the head, his body's going to move that way. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to move with him, okay? And so when I come from here, inside crescent, now kind of in the fighting stance towards you, but I'm still in a position where I can defend myself from him over here. Okay, so that's the only kick that you do not land in the same back foot, but rather turn into a different fighting stance. Talk about a side kick, okay? Side kick comes from a side stance, all right? Actually, a couple different ways. I'm just going to use you. Don't even worry about that. So this is my attacker. Let's say he's in a fighting stance. Okay? And if I come from the side stance and he's in that stance and I'm moving back, whatever I'm doing, I want to use the knife edge of my foot. okay, the knife outside of my foot when I kick. And I can do it two ways. I can kick from here, chamber from here, right? This is my chamber, execution, chamber, retreat. Chambers is when you bring again out. Now you're not going to be aiming with your knee in this case, but rather I'm going to be aiming with this. This is my midline, so the outside of my foot is basically in line with his body, so when I kick out, I'm straight out. Okay, so it can come from here, straight out and down, or you come from the fighting stance and then turn into a side stance and go to the side kick. Okay?
Self-defense techniques. Same side wrist grab.
As we continue on to our yellow belt self-defense techniques now, we're going to get a little bit deeper into this and maybe get some close-ups to show you exactly how I want your hands to be moved or grabbed or whatever it is that takes to get out of a self-defense technique. Now I understand that there's a chance that somebody can grab you like this, okay? But as with anything, we in the military, it was a crawl, walk, and run stage. So we have to learn a basic self-defense technique first to get the principle down, all right? And then we'll move on to collar grabs and choke holds and things like that, as you'll see in a second here, okay? But the first thing we learn is the philosophy. Again, I am not into Korean philosophies, but in this case, it does teach you a principle, a philosophy of movement, redirection, and power, or strike and explode. That's how we're going to start this first technique. Hapkido, the art of coordinated power, remember that, write that down. Hapkido, H-A-P-K-I-D-O, the art of coordinated power. The philosophy is called Ha-Wan-Yu, H-W-A-W-O-N-Y-U. Non-resistance, circular motion, water principle. Non-resistance, circular motion, water principle. Okay, and I'll explain that in this instance. So we're going to talk about. Actually, I'm going to use a double lapel grab. Okay, we're going to come back to the technique, but this is the easiest way to explain this technique. Okay, Ha-Wan-Yu. Non-resistance means when the person comes to me and he grabs me, comes towards me, I'm not going to try to meet him force to force. Okay, that's not wise. Okay, instead, I'm going to let his power come towards me, so that when I start backing up, his power is coming towards him, he's going to lose his balance, okay? As he loses his balance, non-resistance, circular motion, I want to redirect his power in a different angle, a different direction, basically, okay? So in this case, it would be non-resistance. Now I'm in circular motion, I'm trying to turn him so that his power is going in a different direction. And the last step is called water principle or explosion. So instead of just going slow, and we do this, we would explode and push it out, okay, whatever we're going to do in this particular instance, okay? All right, so now let's get back to what we're talking about. Same side wrist grabs, okay? When you get tested and when you train in class, we want our students to understand that techniques actually work. So I'm going to get, this is my other assistant, Brother Mitchell, okay? And what he's going to do is he's going to grab my wrist as tight as possibly can, as tight as he possibly can. And when he lets it go, you see that my wrist is red, okay? And he is grabbing me tight. I want you to do the same thing. Now we understand in our academy, in this class, we go females with females and males with males. That's our standard. That's what we teach, okay? All right, but there's no reason why you can't grab each other really tight. Once you grab each other tight the first time, that's good, okay? Just don't continue to grab each other tight every time you do technique. It's just to let you know that it does work. So the first time we do this technique, he will grab me tight in a second here. And so, for instance, the first technique is we open our hand, step forward, and push back. Doesn't take power, right? Doesn't matter how big these are and his is, all right? The guns, but rather what we're doing is a couple of things. Now, if you can see this, number one is we're opening our hand. Now, coming a little bit lower and grabbing these tight. If you watch my hands, you don't see it much, but what's happening is those thumbs open up just a little bitty bit. And that's what we call our gate. Our gate, okay? Once we get that gate a little bit open, then, again, non-resistance can mean two ways. I'm not going force to force, but yet his power was coming towards me, so non-resistance, or I could step forward in this case. I'm not really going power to power, but yet I'm redirecting this down and pushing back. Okay, so here we go again. Open a hand, step forward with the same foot, and push your hand towards his ear. Okay? Two things can happen there. You could go towards his ear, or you could turn that hand. Now, if I turn that hand, I'm going straight to the head or the nose, wherever I'm going to strike. Okay? Number two, open a hand, stepping in, and notice I didn't step this way, but I use that 45-degree angle. My foot's at a 45-degree angle, and then straight in, okay? Next one, open a hand. I'm going to step back with the opposite foot. The opposite foot, take him off balance. My hand is pointing straight at his elbow, okay? The other hand grabs his hand to trap his hand, and if I step back, I need to step forward. So as soon as I step back, take him off balance, immediately step the other way, and push. Other side. Same thing, same side wrist grab. Open, take him off balance, hands locked, step forward, and push. Now, two things can happen with your attacker. He could do what he's doing now and bend his arm when he goes back, because we're used to getting thrown back. Okay, or he could lock his arm and he tries to resist it. If I come from here and he locks it, then there's no way for him to go except one back. If he locks his arm, he's going to go straight back really fast and probably pop his arm. Okay? All right? Next one. Going to come from here. Now, before we step back, this time, we're going to put our hand up like almost like we're waving at ourselves, but straight up. Okay? Your knee is going to hit their knuckles. Your knee from here. And I'm going to come up, and my knee's going to hit the knuckles, striking them on the knuckles. As soon as I strike them on the knuckles, I'm stepping back from here. My hand comes towards me, so I can take my other hand, either a hammer fist or a knife hand, and it turns and strikes. Defensive stance. Knee strike. From here, hand comes up, step back, strike down. Okay? Another technique, one more we'll show. Open a hand. I'm going to step forward with the same foot this time, just a little bit. Okay, look towards me. I'm going to put my thumb in the middle of his hand. My fingers are going to try to come, and really don't even worry too much about the thumb. The fingers go to the inside of his thumb. Okay, so that's where I'm trying to go right there. Okay, once again. Up, grab his thumb. As I grab his thumb, this hand is going to turn towards his hand. Okay? And I'm going to turn, see how he starts twisting back already? I'm going to step this way, and I'm going to take him straight down from there. Okay? Open a hand, step in, grab underneath his thumb, turn my hand towards his hand, step towards his back, and you can see his wrist is already bending, and I'll take him straight down. Okay? Good. Next technique.
Defense against cross-hand wrist grab.
Cross-hand wrist grab. Same, again, most of them you open in your hand first. Okay? This time, I'm going to step with the opposite foot, a little bit, and I'm going to turn my hand in so that his wrist basically bends. Okay? So again, step in, come in from here, go towards the inside of his elbow. You can either strike it or grab it, bring him towards me. Now this is where I guarantee you will make a mistake when you first do this. Most people will try to hold on to this and try to strike him that way. All right, which is very awkward for me, and he could take his hand and bend my elbow straight back this way, which is not good. What you want to do is when I come from here and I step in, when I bend that elbow in, I want to let this hand go on top so that my arm is parallel to the ground. Make it nice and even so that when I strike and I come from here, this elbow is going to his head. Open a hand, stepping in, and we do it slow. As I'm coming around, nice and level, bring them towards me, elbow strike to the chin. Okay? Another technique. Okay? From here, open a hand. You typically do not learn a back stance to the next belt, but in reality, you learn it from the self-defense. Step back to where your feet are in an L shape. From here, wave at yourself. Okay? Other hand is going to grab his wrist, and the best way to do that is make sure that your hand touches your own back of your hand. We'll show you from a different angle here. When you grab, and you just basically like a motorcycle, twist down. Open a hand, step back. Again, we're talking about not a 45, but both legs are bent from here. Okay, so I'm coming up. My hand hits my own hand. grab his wrist, turn my hand towards my own wrist, and all I'm doing is kind of like a torquing motion. I'm just turning his hand from here and torquing down. Okay? Got it? Another one. Open the hand. We're going to step in this time. It's a little bit awkward. From here, I'm going to, same thing as before. And I'm going to step all the way across his body from here. So, I mean, you can do a lot of things from here, strike as you're going. But I'm going to step across. Now I'm still in a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to grab my own hand and I'm going to put pressure on his elbow from here. Okay, once again. Open, step in, grab my own, and put pressure down when he goes down. Okay. Here, across. This is where you step across. Step across. I'm almost in his midline now, and then you can see the back actually better that way. Okay. Now, before we go on, let me say this: as we do these defense techniques, there are more techniques to go with these. You're required to only do, for instance, in the yellow belt, you're only required to do 3. So we'll show you 3 or 4 from different techniques. You may, in reality, only do 2 during the test. Because if I tell you you're going to do 3, then you're going to do the same 3 all the time. If I give you 3 or 4, and you do 2, then you just, whatever happens, happens. We don't want you to think about number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. We just want you to think about doing something. Whatever comes out, and if it works.
Defense against lapel grab.
Okay, lapel grab, we do single lapel grabs. Person grabbing your lapel. So from this angle, what we want to do first is we're just going to twist our body. When I twist my body, this is how we do it. We come across his body. Now, I understand you see from another angle. When I start going like this, his reaction would probably be to try to come at me. So it's making sure, 2 things, that you protect yourself. So when I'm turning in, I want to bring my hand up here in case he does try to go to the head. And my elbow, see my elbow's in line with his elbow. Okay? My hand, which is the most important, is the thumb is going inside of his thumb and finger. You're trying to get inside that area, okay? Not all the way in, but right across it. So I'm blocking. Now I'm going to step back. Now I'm in a good firm stance. Now his hand and his elbow is locked. You'll see his shoulder move in a second here, but it doesn't take much pressure. But if I start pushing his fingers with this, that way, and pushing his wrist that way, then his body's going to start turning down. Okay? Now, as students, instructors, we understand that when we do this, that once a person taps me, or once I see him jerk down, I'm going to let go. Okay? You don't want to hold on to it and break a person's wrist or hurt a person. Not even if you just sprain something. That's not good sportsmanship. Thing, lapel grab, cross. What happens with the hand? Block. There you go. As soon as I feel that, or I see something come that way, I know that his power is coming this way. So I'm going to let it continue to come this way. And as that power is coming this way, we're going to reverse it and snap their wrist. Okay? Same thing. Another one we can do from here. Same as our choke grab, when we talked about this earlier. You could also do the same, so a choke grab, let me say this, is trapping a hand and striking. You can do the same thing with lapel grab if you want to. Again, these are your choice of how you do these techniques and what order you do. So same thing, if I strike from here though, now all of a sudden, if I put pressure down here, right, and I put pressure up here, that's going to snap the elbow. As I snap it, however, when I step back, same thing, strike or strike, I want to take the inside of my hand and I want to turn his body that way. Here, strike or strike, whatever you're doing. Let that hand slide back to right above the elbow and just put pressure this way. All right, good. And then another one. Instead of going this way, now we're going to step back and go this way. Right over the wrist, coming across, and basically you're pushing his middle of his hand backwards and his wrist down. So when I come from here, he's going down that way.
Defense against 2-hand lapel grab.
2-hand lapel grabs. Okay, same thing as we did before. Now we're going to have 2 ways. We can go underneath the wrist and push him out this way. So I'll come from here. I could go strike from there. Okay, or we can come from outside. Same thing again. We're a little bit closer this time, so we can go to the knee. Okay, or we come from here, again like we did with we did this earlier, remember? Stepping back, whichever way I go. Let's talk about this technique for a second, okay? On this side. So as I step back, I want to put one hand, doesn't matter which one you go, one hand goes over and then under. So over and under. You don't want to go all the way because now all of a sudden my arm's trapped inside his arms and I can get in trouble. So when you go over and you get under, try to keep one hand against there and the other way, the elbow past here. Okay? So you always have something on the outside of his two arms. Alright? So once I get there, I'm going to step in, just like praying. Okay? My hand is going to come down, the other hand's going to come towards the other hand. Now I have a gate. Instead of going like this, right, now I have a gate. So all I have to do now is push that gate that way. Okay? If he doesn't let go, from here, he doesn't let go, continue on with the movement, coming across. Now if he tried to take his hands out, I got him trapped, and I could use this as a strike. Okay? That or whatever I want, I could push him all the way back, whatever I want to do from here, I could strike, okay?
Defense against face height punch or a cross swing.
Face height punches is meant to be used for the belt testing to see what the student learned when he was doing the extras and movement. So he's basically looking at how a student reacts to strikes coming straight at him and where he's going to move to, or he or she's going to move to, okay? In this case, let's say that Brother Mitchell's in a ready stance, okay? And the attacker is in a fighting stance, okay? As the attacker, and as you're testing with each other, the attacker knows that when I say go, that the attacker is going to come from here and step towards him and throw a face height punch. He's going to have to do one of four things. Either step back, one of two ways, or step forward. Now, we're going to do this way. He's going to go and attack the fighting stance. Now, I understand this is a rule number one. If I step back and he comes to the punch, he steps forward with the punch. I understand if I step back, I may be a little bit further away than I want to be. However, if I step back and he does it, I know I'm close enough to use my feet. And my legs, typically, statistically, legs are longer than your hands, your arms, okay? So if you step back, you're using your feet for a strike. If you step forward, you're using your hands for the strike. So if I ask you about the face height punch, and I say, what are the rules on stepping back and stepping forward? You will say, if I step back, I'll kick. If I step forward, I'll punch. Okay? You can add on to it as you go, but that's the basic rule. Okay? And then all we're looking for is that you're moving 10 times. So here we go. I stepped underneath that time. Okay? Stepped underneath, strike to wherever I'm going to go, or strike whatever I'm going to do. Okay? Here's the second one. He does it again. I step the other way. Step the other way, 45 degrees, strike, whatever I'm going to do. Same thing. He steps back. I step back. Right? I might do the same block every single time, but because I step back or I step forward, that's 4 different techniques. You get my point. It's really easy, but this is what we don't want to see. Okay, so here he goes. Okay? Alright? There you go. That's what I don't want to see. Okay, I want to see some variety. I want to see you move different directions. Remember, if you step forward, you understand that if I step forward this way, I might want to bend down underneath the strike, okay? If you step forward that way, then it's okay because he's on the outside. All right? Okay, I'd like to talk about our first kata. Traditionally, when I've been in this for 35, almost 40 years, 30-something years, and we did not have katas in Hapkido, in our form of Hapkido, which is one of many different variations of Hapkido, because we go to tournaments and we compete in tournaments and you could fight or do katas or weapons. We've decided to create 3 katas, okay? 2 that are typically made by us, and the 3rd which would be a variation of different people doing different things. Okay, the first kata is the same as a taekwondo or show a lot of different styles, pretty much have the same format to start everybody in learning. They could call them katas, K-A-T-A, or form, F-O-R-M. Okay, and basically what that means is it's choreographed movements of techniques. Kind of like dancing. You're going one direction, one direction, one direction, one direction. But whatever you do on one side, typically, you're going to do on the other side. Okay, so if you can learn the first few techniques, then you're okay. Because you know you're doing the same thing when you go the other way. Okay, so here's how it starts. And we're going to talk about this also. When you go to tournaments, as a student in this academy, we understand that one of my rules, golden rules, are confident yet humble. Confident yet humble. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. However, the Bible also says I can do nothing without God, but it's impossible to please Him without faith. I want you to be confident, but yet I want you to be a humble person when you do it. When you go to tournaments, you want to go up to the judges and you want to sound off and you want to let them know who you are, who you represent. We're not just representing this academy, but we're representing Jesus Christ. Amen? So we want you to be confident and be respectful and be a witness to other people. You'll see people go in tournaments and the judges will be in front of them. They'll just walk up there. My name is Gery and my style is Hapkido. And they don't even know what you're doing half the time. And then you'll see some people a little bit better, you know, that my name is Gery Ryan. I'm due form number 1. And they're shaking all over the place. I want you to be kind of like a military person and at the same time a very strict martial artist. Okay, so when you come to the judges, and we come from outside the ring, and you come from outside the ring, you didn't come to the judges, go in front of them, attention stance, salute, and then ready stance. There'll be 3 to 5 judges. I want you to look at them. Even if you're scared, I want you to put your eyes right above their head level. So it looks like you're looking at them in the eye, and the audience thinks you're looking at them in the eye, and even the judges sometimes, and you're just looking at each one. Judges, my name is Gery Ryan. My style is Hapkido. Representing Dubuque Christian Kicks, I would like to do kata number 1. With your permission, may I begin? Instead of this, judges, my name is Gery. Okay, so that's confident, but yet you're humble. You're not being conceited or you're not trying to intimidate anybody. You're just being confident. Okay. Once you do that, so that means if I came from the outside of the ring and I step 6 steps towards the judges, I know that if I take 3 steps back, I'm in the middle of the ring. So when you go back, after you finish saluting the judges again, you get ready to do your kata, don't turn around, okay? But rather, take your half of the steps you took. So you take, in this case, we'll say we came from here, 3 steps back, 1, 2, 3, and then start from there, okay? So here's how I'm gonna do the kata slow. I'm gonna actually count the movements, and then we'll go step by step and tell you what these techniques are. Again, it's only a down block, step and reverse punch. The hardest part is learning how to turn. Okay, so here we go. Attention stance, ready stance. Look right, look left. Ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is a key out. 8. Key out. And then when we key out, key out really loud. We'll talk about that later, okay? Then turn it all the way around. 9. Still in the fighting stance. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. Okay? This whole kata is based on 2 techniques. From here, the ready stance, look right. I didn't see anything, look left. I see an attacker. Facial expression is important in tournaments. So if you're doing the kata from here, look right, look left, you need to make the judges feel that you see the same thing that they're seeing. They're imagining an attacker. So I look this way and I see my eyes open wide, and I come from here, and I see a kick coming towards me. I'm kicking that down block down, kicking that kick out of the way. Out, his foot starts moving that way, I punch him, okay? Stepping in, or actually we step in, down block, and stepping in, okay? But all the techniques are basically a down block and a reverse punch. Again, the hardest part is learning when you get from certain stances, and I get here, you need to understand that when I turn, a couple things happen. Whatever leg's going to be in the front, that hand needs to be in the front. And when I turn, I need to be. So I'll move from one side to the other so that when I turn, I'm still in a 45-degree angle. I'm still in a 45-degree angle. One more kata I want to talk about, and that's the second kata. The second kata is obviously a little bit harder than the first kata because you're a blue belt by this time. Alright, and we'll go step by step, and then we'll do it from another angle if we have to, okay? So we'll go something like this, and again, I'll do it kind of slow. Look right, look left. And this time I will not count because it's a blue belt. You should be able to, if I do, that's fine. If I don't, you should be able to get these numbers down, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and back to the front. Okay? Very good. All right, look left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, Okay, I'd like to take a few minutes now. These are a couple more of my assistants here. Mr. Dawson and Mr. Blake. This is Brother Mitchell's kids. And they are high-flying, energetic kids that are going to help us talk about stretching now, okay? I could probably do a lot of the stretching, I still can, but I would rather use their flexible muscles than my old muscles, okay? So we'll see what happens. All right? It's important to understand that before doing any kind of workout and after doing a workout, that we want to stretch our muscles out before to warm them up and then cool them down at the end, okay? Cool them down at the end. And what we're going to do now is we're going to show you a couple of basic stretches that will help you get started. Okay, so first I'm going to get Mr. Dawson to sit down on the mat facing this way, facing me, or facing them actually. Have a seat. Alright, some of the basic stretches we like to talk about. One is, we'll show me a butterfly, Mr. Dawson. What's a butterfly stretch? Okay, butterfly stretch is meant to stretch the inside of the legs, okay? And then a couple of things we want you to understand. A lot of people think that, and we do sometimes, bounce our legs. When you start bouncing your legs when you're doing stretch, that's called a ballistic stretch. Could be dangerous, okay? In reality, what you want to do is, is when you first start it, you want to go slow, okay? So instead of bouncing your legs, just keep them nice and even. Put your hands on your toes, and just pick your toes up towards you, and just nice and relaxed, back straight, and breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just relax your legs, okay? Now when you first start, that might be here, right here, okay? But you know, sometimes after a while, you get a little bit more limber and your legs go down a little further, okay? After you feel comfortable from that, you want to put your hands underneath flat and put your elbows on your legs so that you push your legs down a little bit and you bring your body down at the same time. Okay, what that's doing is stretching the inner thighs, okay, and also working the lower legs and working your lower back, okay? Another stretch we do is when we put our legs straight out. Okay, when you put your legs straight out, we want them straight out, keep them out. And you want, now, some of them maybe, can you grab your toes? Can you grab your toes? Can you grab your toes, sir? Okay, grab your, he's actually got it pretty easy, okay? That's okay. Here's a rule for you though. Our rule is what? Stretch to tension, not pain. Stretch to tension, not pain. That means that if you're bending down and I'll use me as an example. If I start bending down, and I start feeling something right here, and I look over there and those guys are grabbing their toes, and hey, get rid of the pride, leave it at the door, and stop. Just stay right here, and when you start feeling tension, you hold it there and you stop. Now one way you could do if you can't get that far, is instead of going all the way down, you could simply put your hands by your back, keep your back straight, and point your toes down. Or point your toes towards you. If I point my toes towards me, I should feel something in the back of my leg. If I point my toes away from me, I should feel something in the front of my legs, those muscles, okay? Simple stretches, okay? Those are straight leg stretches. One thing we learn as we're stretching, we'll go crisscross on our legs. And this is fun, they don't have to do when you first come in. But we'll keep our legs crisscrossed and our weights on our legs, our feet, and we'll put our hands up. And we'll try to stand up without touching the ground. Just like that. Very good, okay? Now when you first do it, I mean, we have people that come in sometime and they'll be doing all kind of funny stuff. It's okay, guys. It's okay if you don't get it at first, okay? And sometimes you have people that may never, for a long time, have a hard time getting there. And I'm looking at one right now and I won't tell you who she is, right, Sister Rosie? Anyway, so that's something you want to try as you go, okay? But the key is to just roll your body forward. If you roll your body forward a little bit, that makes it a lot easier. So I just gave you a trick to learn, okay? All right? Some of the other stretches we do might be from the fighting stance. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Now, this is where we get a chance, besides getting the students to stretch, is to make sure that they're working on their stance so that their foot's a little bit over at 45 degrees, their toes are pointing forward, their body's straight, their knees are bent, so that they're working all the different muscles that you're supposed to work, just like Mr. Blake and Mr. Dawson's doing now. If they start turning their body this way, get them to turn their body this way. Okay, it makes a difference as far as what you're feeling in your legs, okay? You're stretching a couple of different things at one time. You're stretching the upper legs, back of the legs, and working your lower back. Very good, okay? All right, have a seat, sir. Let's talk about why we do this. So, stretching does several different things. Number one, obviously it develops flexibility. So when I first started the martial arts, I could barely kick higher than Mr. Blake's head. So when I did an outside crescent, it took me everything I had to put my leg up there, which meant that if I happened to get my leg up there, it wasn't a very good technique, it wasn't a very focused technique, but it was just a sloppy technique. Once I started stretching, and I'm gonna let Mr. Dawson, you good for now? Go to see Dad. Okay, go see Dad, sir. Quick. All right. So as we kept on going, face me, sir. Then we understood that when we kicked, we could place that piece of your foot wherever you wanted to land. Wherever you wanted to land, okay? So that means instead of just throwing a kick, if Mr. Dawson threw a kick at my head, at my hand, okay, outside crescent. Outside crescent. Okay? That was pretty simple for him. But when he first started and he did that, he lost his balance, right? Or if I tell him to throw a front thrust kick and I want his front thrust kick to land right there, okay, he's got a little more flexibility now so he could place that kick where he wants to, whereas when we're not flexible, then it's a hard time. Our foot do a sloppy one like that. So he might have just wasted his technique and not got where he wanted to without putting him in a particular spot, okay? So flexibility develops technique, accuracy, and most importantly, believe it or not, I believe it develops speed. It develops speed. As your muscles are tight, then you're not as fast. But once your muscles start relaxing and getting loose, then they'll go a lot quicker, right? And we say that speed equals power. Speed equals power. So flexibility is pretty much the basics of gaining a lot of potential in everything you do. Your kicks, your punches, your strikes, whatever you're doing, your balance, and everything else, okay? All right, and actually let's just see what kind of kicks Mr. Blake has here. So we're gonna see if he can do a high roundhouse. Pretty good, right? Okay, let's do an outside crescent again, sir. How about a jump spinning crescent kick? Any way you want. Okay, not bad, one more time. Mr. Blake's not bad. Okay, good job, sir. Okay, I'm gonna get Brother Mitchell to help me again here, and because I want to use a person this time so that I could talk and show the technique at the same time, okay? Back stance, you actually did a back stance when you did a self-defense technique, and
Blue belt stances. Back stance.
requirements go, you don't have to demonstrate the back stance until the blue belt test, okay? So a back stance, when you're coming from the ready stance, facing that way, a back stance, basically your back foot's going into an L, so he stands back, and 70% of your body weight is going to be on your back leg, both legs are bent, and then your body's kind of facing forward with your hands up. So really this is a defensive stance to where you could use your front leg, so all your weight's back here, and you can bring that front leg up to throw your kicks from a defensive stance. That's basically what that stance is meant for. Side stance, we talked about this earlier out on the yellow belt test when we did the side kick, which is not a requirement, but it's a requirement side stance for the blue belt. And when we talk about a side stance, so if I'm fighting Brother Mitchell and he's in a fighting stance,
Side stance.
he wants to hit me, and I'm standing like this, then he has a lot of options. The front, the side of the head, the top, he's got a whole bunch of options. Whereas if I stand like this in tournaments we're talking about now, you can't hit the back. So now all of a sudden he only has 1 or 2 areas to hit, basically. You can't hit the front of the head, hit the back of the head, but if you hit that back at all, you're in trouble. So this limits him as an attacker. However, it also limits me as a striker. Because now instead of having this foot and this foot and this hand to strike with, now I just have 1 foot and 1 hand. So is that bad or is that good? I think it's okay because of this. In tournaments, I try to explain to the students and instructors that basics are okay. Keep it simple. It only takes 1 strike, really a foot and a hand, to win a tournament. And some of these guys see some of our fights. Yeah, I do throw some hook kicks to the back of the head and stuff like that, but a lot of times I'm just throwing side kicks and a back fist. If it works, use it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So keep it simple. You know, some people come out there and fight you and they're doing all kinds of jumping kicks and flips and all this stuff, and you're just wasting a lot of energy. So keep it, when we talk about sparring and competition, keep it simple. Next.
Just wait.
Okay, strikes. Now some of these you may think are not practical, but when you strike in smaller areas, and actually in reality they are practical, but for testing purposes, this is all about testing purposes right now, right? We're going to talk about different areas.
Spear hand.
Solar plexus. So if you were to follow your rib cage, right, and go all the way to the top of the rib cage, there's a little bitty bone that's right underneath that. That's called a xiphoid process. When you learn CPR in class, a lot of people teach you CPR. They teach you to go above, two fingers above the xiphoid process, because if you went on that, that's a very delicate bone and you could rupture something by breaking that bone. Which in our case is good because that's where we want to strike, okay? And that's the softest spot to hit a person, okay? A spear hand, basically, if I'm coming from here, I'm coming straight in. So if I'm striking from here, I'm striking straight in, okay? When we learn in the class, we strike from here, or we come from here and strike. This is kata. You saw this in the kata when we came from here. We did a strike, pushed this hand down, and then twisted in to a spear hand, okay? So this is okay. That's okay, as long as this hits the front.
Slap.
Bare hand slaps, kind of like you slap a person's ears, except this time you're going to bend your fingers in to get some bones in there also, okay? So instead of just slapping the ears and collapsing the eardrums, you could also strike from here.
Bare hand.
From here, so you hit the temporal and the ears, okay? You could cause mostly for a throat strike, which could collapse the trachea, and you're going straight to the inside of your curve of your hand and striking straight to the, in this case, the Adam's apple, okay? Straight into the throat.
Eagle claw.
Spinning back fist, we're going to get ready to talk about kicks here also. And the difference between basic kicks and advanced kicks. So the difference between a jump kick, a front kick and a jump front kick.
Spinning back fist.
Fist and a spinning back fist is your spin. Okay, that's the only difference. So in this case, what we're doing from here is I can start at any, I'm going to do it a couple of angles here. So let's say he's in a fighting stance. and I come from this direction, I could come from here, step in. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. Once I step in, just like a spinning, we're going to talk about this in a second, a spinning side kick is you aim with your heel. So same thing here, if I'm coming from here, and I come from here, wherever that heel's pointing, when I turn around, that's where I want the strike to land. So I come from here, strike from here, I could stay in this stance and go back, or I could strike as I'm moving, spinning back this from here. Whatever way you do it, you want to make sure that after you do the strike, that you have some kind of balance. Okay? Some kind of balance. Meaning you turn your heel or turn your body so that you're in some kind of, almost in a 45-degree angle from there. Okay? And when you spin, back to the fist. Elbow strikes, basically, and then you can just stand there for this one. But basically, elbow strikes we're looking at straight, and elbow strikes can either come up, across, or reverse strike. So if a guy's coming from behind and he grabs me, and
Elbow strikes.
step back from here, I could from here and strike the rear elbow. I could go in front, like we did the self-defense technique earlier. Cross, reverse elbow, right, or down elbow. Okay. Cover block is when this guy, and Brother Mitchell could probably tell you about this, he won the tournament, his first tournament, and I don't think he might be saying this because I'll tell you what happened to me in my 100th tournament. Alright? But his first tournament ever, he got against this guy that was a blue belt.
Black, cover up black.
Immediately, just came out with him all kind of strikes, right? And he pretty much stood there, so he got hit. Cover up block is basically meant to cover up as much of your body as you possibly can. So when a person's coming towards me, I'm covering my head, I got my whole side of my body black. So in the tournament, he can't hit my back. So I have this block right here, I have this block right here. He can't hit the back of my head, so I'm pretty much covering up my whole body. He can hit me right here, but I also have this where I can turn in this way, okay? That's a cover up block. So a spinning crescent, he can come from two ways, from a side stance, or he can come from a fighting stance. In this case, let's go on this side. On this side. So spinning crescent, here we go.
Kicks. Spinning crescent, in and out.
Very good, very good. Okay, as he spins. Now here's the thing. I want you to do the first step. Okay, your first step of a spinning kick is kind of like your lead. That's what's gonna bring the rest of your body into the rest of the kick. So if you do that first, I'm gonna do it actually. So watch this. So if I go to that first kick right here and I just land right here, then I have a long way to spin around. It's kind of like a momentum kick. If you use that momentum of the first kick, it's going to carry the rest of your body around. So when you start talking about spinning kicks, you're talking about using one leg to set up the other, or like a jab to a strike. You're using one leg to set up the other. One more time, sir. Very good. That was a good kick, okay? Spinning side kick, a little bit more harder to control, but what he's going to try to do is he'll go in slow motion one time, go one time slow. Go ahead. Okay? And basically, again, you're aiming when he turns his heel in.
Spinning side kick.
At his target. So he knows, Mr. Blake knows now that when he spins, he wants to bring that leg as close to this leg as possible so that he lands up in a straight shot. Good. The kick did now. He went a little bit off, but the key is we're going to face the camera this time, both of us together. So we know that if we're in line, I'm going to put him in line with this line right here. So now we're in a side stance. That if we turn our heel straight in, that when I bring this other leg and I look around, and it's important to make sure that you turn your head, because you don't, this is a blind technique. If I came right here and I just did this, then I could get disqualified because this is a blind technique. So when you do a spinning kick, really, you're supposed to be able to see kind of where you're hitting. So when I bring this foot from here and come this way, I want to land in my side stance. So I'm right in the side stance, okay? One more time. Ready, sir? Actually, give you a bigger target. Same thing. Let's see your side stance and spin the side kick. Very good, very good. All right? All right, double inside crescent on your own one time. Let me see what it looks like. Very good. Double inside crescent against this momentum kick that carries his body See that second one is coming like a tornado. The taekwondo, they call it a tornado.
Double inside crescent.
The pad the first time because he's trying to make the guy think he misses the kick. Oh, I'm coming in now. And there I go. As I come in, he's coming at me. Okay? Here we go. Ready? Go. Come towards me. One again. Come towards me. Very good. Very good. There's a lot of power in that kick, guys. Trust me, there's a lot of power. I'll use a story from a guy I fought a long time ago in Leesville, Louisiana, back in the day, back in the 80s. All right, but this guy would
Jump back kick.
and all of a sudden the guy would run after him, and right before, because you have to throw your technique in the ring, but the guy would rush him, and right before he stepped out the ring, as that guy was rushing him, he would jump up as he's coming closer and throw a jump back kick and just landed on most of the time breaking the guy's nose and getting disqualified half the time, but there's an effective kick. You want to hit him in the chest. All right, but basically all you're doing is you're going away from the target and you're jumping up. I'm throwing a kick towards the back. Okay? Jump side kick, basically you can do from two stances, from the fighting stance or a side stance. Again, what's the difference between a jump side kick and a side kick?
Jump.
You jump. So you're doing a side kick, but except you're just jumping first. Very good.
Jump side kick.
Very good, okay? All you're doing is jumping and kick. Now some people think, well, jump kicks you have to be really flexible. When in reality, he's doing a middle side kick. He's doing a low side kick, except you're jumping up. And now all of a sudden that low side kick becomes a high side kick because you jumped up to the guy's chest level. So you really didn't stretch a lot on that, but you jumped, built up the upper muscles. Jump front kick's a little bit easier. Jump front snap kick. So same thing. Do it again. You know, you'll notice here, and I'm going to help him out here, he pivoted off the
Jump front kick.
I want him to do this time is just jump both legs at the same time and kick. Much better. A lot more power, right? And the problem with that first one is they'll read that. Sometimes it'll hurt you instead of helping you. Whereas if you just jump up and kick, a little bit quicker, okay? Blue belt, self-defense for blue belt, okay? Here we go. Alright, now obviously I'm not going to use Brother Mitchell as the person being grabbed. Alright, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you a story. We did it. Alright, now we're going to talk about self-defense for you guys. And we were teaching hair grabs. And
Defense against front hair grab.
And, you know, grab my hair. And they looked at Brother Mitchell and I said, you know, this guy, he's a man, you know, when he first started teaching this technique, he had a full set of hair. And then you must be a master at that technique now because he has no hair. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny, but anyway, I can't hear you laughing, but I'm imagining that you're all laughing in the video. Alright, so here we go. Front hair grabs. Again, when we do any kind of techniques, we're talking about movement, redirection, non-resistant circular motion, okay? So we're going to have a couple of things you can do here. Now, you need to understand, ladies, guys with long hair, which you shouldn't have long hair, by the way, that's scripture. I will preach that another time, right? The Bible says that doeth the nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it's a shame unto him, okay? That means we need to keep our hair short, gentlemen. Got it? Very good. Ladies, your hair is your glory, so keep long hair. Alright, anyway, with that being said, you may lose some of your hair on this technique, but you're going to get out of the technique, okay? So that means when you push down on this, there's a possibility you might lose a couple strands of hair, okay? One technique we can do is we're going to step back, put our hands straight up in the air, and all you're going to do is pull your hands down towards your stomach as hard and as fast as you can from here and straight down, okay? As his body goes down, obviously, I can come from here, slow motion, pull it down, and come back up with a strike, okay? Or, again, like we did before with other techniques, either way, doesn't matter which way you grab. You can grab this way, even if he doesn't let go. Let's say he doesn't let go. I can still get a hold of his hand and hold it and put pressure down, okay? Or I can turn the other way. Same way, straight down from here. Now this time you saw that when I went outside, I could go to the elbow. So as he's grabbed me, we could strike down here, straight down, okay? Two-hand front wrist grabs. We all remember the first technique we did in yellow belt where you step forward. You can do the same thing with this technique, except with two hands. Open a hand, step forward, push back. Okay? Open the hands, step forward.
Defense against two-hand front wrist grab.
Either way you go, you want to take his knuckles, and make his knuckles rub against his own knuckles. So this would definitely hurt. If I step back a little bit, come from here and I'm scraping his own knuckles against his own. That's all you're doing. Taking one knuckle, I'm taking his knuckles and putting them against that bone. Do it fast and hard. I'm not going to do it fast and hard, but if you do it fast and hard, it's going to hurt when they're going to release. Okay? Or, open the hands, step back, hit his wrists together so he breaks his bones together. You hit those bones together pretty hard, right? That's not gonna feel good, okay? So if I come from here, open the hands, as I do that, hit his knuckles together, or his wrists together, I'm keeping my hands, my thumbs on top, okay? And I'm gonna put those thumbs down to where I can grab them, all right? If I grab him, I could turn his body around from here, and I could actually pick him up and throw him over my body if I wanted to. Okay? Once again. Open, strike, down, and turn. Or, alright, from here, we could go inside, kind of like we did the first technique from here, stepping in, nice and low, and pushing back to the head. Once again, from this side. Open, step in it, one hand goes down, so over here, and going straight to his chin or his nose, whatever's there. Alright, so the front side headlock, and see how we can do this, let's try this first. Okay? He's got me, let's go a couple of angles, he's got me from there, so let's go this way so you can see me again this way. Front side headlock. Okay?
Defense against front side headlock.
See, that's how you grab. Okay? From here, I'm going to strike the knee or the groin. Okay? Straight to the groin from there. And what I want to do is if I hit this person hard enough, that's going to loosen this up. If I can loosen that up from here and get to his hand, okay, then I can step underneath him from here and either break it or throw him from there. Just hold it. If I hold on to this hand right here, then let's go the other way. So from here, and I strike, and I loosen that up, and I can step in. Now you can see he could go to a break as long as I'm holding this right here. Okay? Inside the thumb, the bottom of the thumb. If I put a little, you'll see him twist a little bit here. If I put a little pressure there, it will definitely make him move, okay? So rear side is basic to the front. A couple of things you can do here. You can push the knees down to the ground. So he strikes it, because now, as he's falling on the ground, he has one option. He could keep his hands on me and hit his face to the ground.
Defense against rear side headlock.
The ground, okay? And if once he hits the ground from there, I'm putting pressure on him from there. When I want him this time, he went on the ground, he hit, and as I slide him down, I'm rolling back, and I'm trying to hold onto his foot so I can break his ankle from here. Okay, that's all I gotta do is break his ankle. Okay, from here, I strike to the side of the knee. Once I go from there, I'm taking my hand to the front, go to his head, and I'm pushing pressure either against his nose or his chin or whatever I got up there, because all you're doing is pushing pressure back. The knee comes out so his back gets broken on your knee, and straight back. Once again, if the guy has hair, obviously you would grab the hair. We talked about this earlier, actually, I think, okay? Same things before, we talked about knee strikes, but however, now, as a blue belt, we start expecting you to do a little bit more controlled grabs.
Defense against one hand throat grab.
Besides only doing the defense, the person that's getting beat up, so to say, is going to have to start learning how to do advanced falls, okay? So in this case, we won't do the falls, we're going to talk about the second. But again, when we strike from here, you can either do a full arm, but it's important, this is, and then as a yellow belt, this was okay. You just push, okay? But now, we want you to go right above the elbow, so that you go on in the meaty part, and actually turn that body this way. So his arms going up this way, come down here and putting pressure down, and taking them up. And you can lock them up in there, or you can change your technique. Now, as a blue belt, you want to add on to your technique. So besides just doing an arm lock, strike, take them down, Now all of a sudden I come from here, do shin kicks, or do kicks to the groin, wherever you're going to, so that you have a little bit of control, whatever you're gonna do. Short snap kick, which I don't think we covered earlier. Okay? Another one? Okay? Same things before. This time I'm turning. Now watch. If I line my elbow, you're gonna see his elbow go this way, okay? If I come from here, I could just take my elbow, and you'll see his body go down a little bit from here. All I gotta do is put a little pressure on his elbow, and he's going down. Once I get him right here, like now watch this. Where's his head? His head's right next to me now. So once I get him from here, I can take this across and go to a throw from here, which we talk about in red belts. But you're not gonna do that. You can't do that from back here, all right, because you're too far away. So I have to bring him towards me. So if I can take him towards me, I come right here, all I have to do, now he's right there. Okay, once he gets right there, we could do, a million things. From here, we could move this hand, hold on to this, take this hand back, come back this way, or, same thing again, coming across guillotine strikes, or chokeholds, okay, or rear naked chokehold.